Welcome to Turn Up the Volume, the podcast where we amplify the voices and stories of those pushing for gender equity in the audio industry. I'm Nayo Anya, your audio equity champion from the Yorkshire Sound Women Network, and I'm thrilled to have you join us as we kick off this exciting journey together. Today, we're diving into the heart of our mission, understanding and awareness. This is the first episode in a series where we'll explore the challenges faced by women and minority-gendered individuals in the audio and sound world, and discover the incredible opportunities that arise when we tackle these barriers head-on. Understanding and awareness is about more than just knowing the issues. They're about recognising the challenges and barriers faced by women and minority-gendered people in our industry, and committing to doing something about them. Here at Yorkshire Sound Women Network, YSWN, we're passionate about driving positive change through our Volume Up standard. This framework is designed to help sound and technology businesses, big or small, to demonstrate their commitment to creating a fairer, more inclusive industry. It's a tool to guide organisations on their journey towards greater diversity and equity. The audio industry is brimming with talent from all walks of life, and there's immense potential for women and minority-gendered people to shine if given the right opportunities. We understand that navigating this path can be daunting, which is why the Volume Up framework was put together in the first place. Developed in 2020, it offers structured support and encouragement for organisations aiming to enhance their diversity. What's fantastic about Volume Up is its adaptability. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, it's meant to be tailored to fit the unique needs of each organisation, helping you build on your strengths and address areas where there's room for growth. So whether you're tuning in as a trailblazer in the audio industry or just starting to explore how you can make a difference, we're excited to explore that with you. Let's turn up the volume on these crucial conversations and work together to shape a more inclusive future for everyone in sound and audio. Today, I'm joined by 4 amazing guests who are with us throughout the entire series. I'm so thankful that they brought their unique perspectives and experiences to this ongoing conversation. Let's start with Laura, who created Saffron Records, the first female Black-owned record label in the UK. We are here talking to you about Turn Up the Volume, which is our campaign, which is all about getting the music and audio industry to take gender diversity seriously, to think about how to be inclusive and bring people from different backgrounds into the space. And it's when I was reading your impact report that said that there are less than 4% of female and minority gendered people in the audio industry. And then of that, less than 1% are from the global majority. Like, how is it putting together the impact reports every year and kind of seeing those types of statistics?
That's probably one of the hardest things to see, is to hear those statistics and to know those statistics. And also then when you really start to see them in your day-to-day work and you're like, this is so, lacking. And when then you don't just see the statistics, but then you think about the experience of those people and you think about how, and I guess it's relatable to, me through my day-to-day of going into the wider music industry and how I, feel. And I think probably one of my themes that comes up a lot is around belonging and that feeling of belonging and trying to find a space where you feel like you belong, because I feel like those are the spaces when you can start to be the most creative, free, like, your thoughts, your vision, all of those can come into their sort of freest form, and that amount of expression you want for everyone to be able to have and everyone to be able to access. So those statistics for us are, we really see them and we really feel them within Saffron. I think another really difficult thing is that they're not really changing. So over the years that we've known about those particular statistics, I think one year they went down And I think there's also not quite enough data, like that less than 1% from the global majority, that's 0%. Like for me, I'm like, don't disguise that. Don't try and make it, round it up to 1. Like less than 1 is 0%. That's what we're working with here. So there is a real lot of work to do. And I think, you know, one of the real bigger pieces of work that I want to do is around research based on our UK workforce. Who are our producers? Who are our engineers? You know, we need to know that data. We need to know that history to be able to move forward so that we can have those companies really take accountability and go, okay, right, we hear this. Because at the moment, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect without, well, I mean, for me, that's enough. But, you know, for some people, that doesn't seem to be enough for them to really want to make that change.
Laura's point about that disconnect is powerful. It highlights the need for spaces where women and minority gendered people can truly thrive. Spaces that aren't just inclusive in name, but in practice. Isabel spoke about creating such a space with Girls Twiddling Knobs, where she's been able to build a community that embraces and supports each other.
There's often been a lack of appreciation of diversity, not just in terms of the way people look or sound or dress, but also the way that their brains work. You know, that there has been a real lack of interest and acceptance and enthusiasm for diversity. There's been a lack of interest in how human interactions and cultures impact what is made and created in those spaces. And I think that there's often been just, you know, there's been a comfort zone of feeling quite safe with a particular, you know, kind of person doing a particular kind of thing. And I think that more expansion of who those people are and what those things are is really important. But I think just in terms of what that's felt like, it's often felt like there's a club that you're not part of, that there's a lot of preconceptions about the very rigid, narrow field that you have to understand in order to be taken seriously. And any knowledge or experience beyond that just isn't important, even if it's actually quite, you know, useful and impressive in its own right. As a woman in music and sound, I've often kind of been bringing a different presence, at the least, if not different ideas and energies to what I've been doing. And so I've often had to kind of build my own doors, either because I just don't like working in the way that maybe the kind of established mode is, or because of who I am and what I represent and how that doesn't quite fit into the already pre-existing pathways.
Isabel's work with Girls Twiddling Knobs is a fantastic example of what can happen when you create your own space, something that Xylo from Music Production for Women knows all about. Xylo's journey includes organising an all-female event and learning to produce music, both of which are incredible achievements that came from the understanding of the need for women-centred spaces in music.
We do lots of events online, and that's something I love to do as well. But something about the energy of an in-person event, 200 women in the room talking about production, audio, mixing, all these technical topics was absolutely mind-blowing and heartwarming. And so many people had that feedback as well. They were just saying the energy in that room, they'd never felt anything like it in the industry or even outside of that. And just the feeling that something that I created a few years ago has sort of blossomed into creating an atmosphere like that was just so special to feel. So yeah, I'd say that was probably the biggest win. But there's been lots as well. Just chatting to students and seeing their progress and seeing women that felt they couldn't do it get to a point where they're like, oh my gosh, I made my first track and it sounds awesome, is, you know, all those little things as well is so special. when I started or had the idea for MPW, there was a massive voice in the back of my head that said, why would anyone want to listen to you? You are a no one that's taught yourself to produce when there are so many amazing, talented producers, male and female, that are way more qualified than you to do this. Why would anyone listen to you? And that voice was there for a long time. And I can't remember who told me this, but someone said that to teach someone something, you just need to know a little bit more than they know.
Xylo's accomplishments reminds us of the power in claiming our space and skills in an industry that hasn't always made room for us. Nadi's experience takes us further into this conversation, introducing us to her journey with finger drumming and production.
Producing just felt like a natural step in the sense that I wanted to like make beats to do vocals and stuff on, and then I realized that I wasn't very into doing the vocals anymore and just like got really into producing. And then finger drumming kind of came a little bit later, where I was trying to make a transition from being a bedroom producer to more of a live performer. And I'd seen a couple videos online of people doing finger drumming, and I was like, oh, let me try that. And then I did, and I just totally fell in love with it, and then it became my career. It was never like kind of intentional. I started doing it for a bit and posting videos online, and then it just kind of naturally happened. Finger drumming is essentially using a MIDI pad controller. So for example, like an MPC or Machine, there's loads of different ones out there, even Push or, Launchpad, and then playing your beats live. So what I mean by that is that everything's triggered live, right? Like I'm using one shots for all the drums, like I'm playing them all individually, like real time, along with the melodic chops and stuff. And so it's very different to DJing, where you're like literally just hitting play on a controller and it's just playing the song. With finger drumming, everything is kind of live in real time, so it's much more like playing an instrument than it is being a DJ. It's kind of like that sweet spot in between, like, playing like a real instrument, but then also having that music production world where you can, use samples and you are doing processing and music tech stuff behind the scenes. So it's kind of like a really good place to be, like, in terms of like being that traditional sense of being a musician, but also that modern sense of being a music producer in like today's world, right? So it's super fun as well. Like it's really fun to do.
So we heard 4 experiences, and actually it's really clear to say that there is work to be done to making this industry more equitable. The Jaguar Foundation's research, as shared by Professor Alice O'Grady, underscores the gatekeeping around technology, which is often seen as a male domain. Professor O'Grady notes, technology is conventionally seen as the preserve of the man or the male. It is a male domain, and it's like girls are just playing at it. Gatekeeping around technology and women's relationship to technology is an issue. This gatekeeping is just one of the barriers that prevent women and minority gendered people from fully participating in and shaping the industry. A deep dive into the data from Black Lives in Music reveals that just 40% of Black female professionals earn 100% of their income from music, compared to 73% of white women. These statistics highlight the ongoing challenges faced by women of colour in the industry. The same report found that 56% of Black women have experienced gender-based discrimination, and many face a combination of racial and gender discrimination. The Saffron Music report found that of 232 producer credits across the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 2022, 3.4% were women. One producer was non-binary. The ratio of male producers to underrepresented women producers is 132 to 1. Our industry is still overwhelmingly dominated by white cis men. as detailed in the YSWN Wired Toolkit Literature Review. Our Wired research, which was published this year, 2024, by Yorkshire Sound Women Network, makes it clear. It quotes that copious evidence and previous publications exploring equity for women, girls, and minority genders in the music industry sector have demonstrated persistent and severe gender inequality at all levels, from learning and education to the highest levels as professionals. So the data and stories we've shared today paint quite a clear picture of the challenges we're up against. But they also show the power we have when we understand these challenges and actively work to address them. That's why the first step in our Volume Up framework is essential to create a foundation of awareness on which we can build our understanding. So, if you're ready to take that first step, we invite you to sign up to the Volume Up Standard via our website, www.yorkshiresoundwomennetwork.com. This means your company commits to recognising and understanding the challenges faced by women and minority gendered people in our industry. How can you start? Well, you could undertake YSWN gender diversity training or any other diversity training. And you could make it a regular practice to read and share literature and advocacy resources within your team. We see this as the beginning of a journey, one that will continue together. We'll check in with organisations after 18 months to see what progress has been made and help you to set new goals to keep moving forward. Essentially, we're here to support the audio and sound industry as its cheerleader and critical friend. Next time, we'll be diving into the second strand of the Volume Up network, workspace culture. Until then, let's keep pushing for a music industry where everyone, regardless of gender or background, can thrive. Thank you to all our incredible guests, Laura from Saffron Records, Silo from Music Production for Women, Isabel from Girls Twiddling Knobs, and Nali. Make sure to go and give them a follow on all their social medias and support the great work they do to continue pushing for gender equity. Thank you also to Rosa UK, a grant-making charity that funds women's and girls' organisations working to make the UK a fairer, safer place, without whom we wouldn't have been able to create this podcast. I'm Nayawanya, your podcast host, scripter and director, and audio equity champion at YSWN. Thank you to our editor, Joe Kennedy, and Sarah Statham, who has provided the music, both of whom are YSWN associates. To find out more about what we do, head to our website, www.yorkshiresoundwomen.com. See you next time.